Waiter Wallet. We make even the best waiters better.
Hello, we are in Boulder, Colorado, the Napa of beer, Colorado. One of my favorite breweries, Sanitas Brewery, and we have the privilege of having Zach, one of the co-founders of Sanitas, with us to talk beer and how beer works, how it pairs with food, all that sort of stuff. Zach, thank you so much for being here. So can you tell us a little bit about the different styles of beer?
Sure.
Just an overview. A lot of waiters, I know I didn't know how they differed.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's really two main beer categories. One is going to be lager and one is ale. Lagers and ales, the biggest thing that separates the two is the yeast that you use. So lager yeast is going to ferment at a little bit of a cooler temperature. It takes a little bit longer to ferment that beer out. What you get as a result is a slightly lighter body, crisper beer. And then ales are going to be a little bit more fuller body. They ferment at warmer temperatures and faster. So they're going to have a little more flavor, a little more body to them. And that's really the two main categories of beer. And then down from there, you're going to have a lot of different kind of subcategories, right? So you've got your stouts, your IPAs, things like that. Those are all going to be ales. When you're looking at the lager kind of parent category, within it you have certain things like Pilsners, Doppelbocks, Oktoberfests, Maibocks, things like that. Again, these are all going to be beers that are a little bit lighter in body, a little more crisp, but they can have a lot of flavor to them as well. So a Doppelbock is technically a lager, but it's going to be higher in alcohol, have a lot of big malty, sweet flavors to it, similar to like a brown ale or a porter. And so, yeah, that's kind of the two main categories and some of the subcategories that you have within it. Yeah.
So if someone doesn't like beer, what's a good suggestion?
So what I always do if someone tells me that they don't like beer is I ask, okay, that's fine. What do you typically drink? Okay, are you a wine drinker? Are you a Scotch drinker? And if that's the case, perfect. What kind of wine do you like? Do you like sweeter red wines? Do you like drier white wines? And then I typically will go from there, right? So if someone says I'm a wine drinker and I typically like a drier white wine, then I'm typically going to lead them towards a lighter bodied, probably a lager, lighter bodied, drier lager like a Pilsner would be great. Because like a lot of drier white wines, you're going to get that slightly grassy, kind of peppery note in there. It's going to be dry and light on the palate. And more often than not, people are often surprised when you kind of go that route and go through that exercise of leading them towards something. But it comes down to what your palate and what your palate is used to. Okay, so if you're like a Scotch drinker, maybe you would like kind of fuller bodied, smokier beer, like a smoked beer, a porter, or stout, or something like that.
So what do you do when a guest approaches you at the bar and they don't know what they want? What are some questions that you ask? I mean, obviously you mentioned one. Are there any others?
Absolutely. One that I like to ask people is, do you like typically if you are a beer drinker, do you like more bitter beers? If people don't like bitter beers, it's probably smart to stray them away from IPAs, things like that. Are you looking for something lighter bodied or fuller bodied? A lighter bodied beer would probably be something like a lager. If they want something more full bodied, maybe like a brown ale or a stout. And then, another thing is food. If you're eating food, what are you eating? Because, beer works phenomenally with food, and it's going to bring out a lot of those flavors in the food, and the food can bring out a lot of flavors in the beer, so it works vice versa. So that's something that I often look at is if people are eating food with their beer. That's another route you can go.
Are there any beers that are just like, I'm not going to recommend this style of beer unless I know that this person knows beer, and they'd probably ask for it anyway, or they wouldn't maybe know about it, but you can recommend it?
Sure. I really wouldn't say that there's a certain style that I stray away from if people aren't beer drinkers, because I'm often shocked at how often people who aren't necessarily beer drinkers like the big full flavored beers. If someone tells me they like big sweet red wines, I'll oftentimes direct them towards a barley wine, which is going to be a big ale. It's going to be a really sweet, full-bodied, kind of a dark ruby color, and that's a big kind of imposing beer. But oftentimes, wine drinkers will like that beer. Other way around, sour beers are these kind of lighter-bodied, effervescent, really tart beers. They're pretty strong on your palate, but it's amazing how often people who typically like those kind of lighter, effervescent wines and things like that will enjoy a beer like that. So there's really nothing is out of bounds as far as directing someone towards a certain beer style.
That's awesome. And if someone isn't familiar with microbrewery beers as opposed to the better known Budweiser, Miller, Coors,
Sure.
What are the differences and why are these so much better? I can answer that, but go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. There's really nothing wrong with those domestic kind of premium American lagers. They've been doing it for a long time. They're great at it. They're going to be very light-bodied lagers. They're often made with corn, which is going to give it that kind of like almost cereal-y corn flavor to it. You know, with our beers, we're using almost exclusively malted barley, which is going to give just a more robust flavor to the beer. It's a higher quality form of barley, and so it's just going to be more flavorful, more well-rounded. Typically going to have more body to it. And you know, I think a light American lager is great if you're just kind of hanging out or you just need to wash it on some chips or something like that. It's a fine beer. But if you're really looking for a beer that's going to kind of fill a void as far as flavor and kind of bringing new flavors to your palate, I would lean towards craft beer absolutely. And definitely when you're looking at pairing with food, craft beers most of the time are going to bring more to the table than just your standard American lager would.
All right. And real fast question, we'll wrap this one up. We got some more segments coming your way. If someone does like a Budweiser, what you go with a lager?
Yeah, probably. I would recommend a good Pilsner.
Pilsner?
Probably.
Okay.
Lighter, any form of lighter lager, like a Helles is a type of lager that would probably fit in really well. But the person who drinks the Bud Light or the Coors Light is probably looking for that kind of lighter, drier, easy drinking beer. And you can still get that within craft. There's a lot of really well-made light lagers in craft.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. We got more videos coming your way on the Waiter Wallet educational channel here. Thanks so much for tuning in.